Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Optosys webinar. Thanks a lot for actually all being there today. There's a lot of attendance, so we're really happy about it. Today, we'll have a very, very interesting webinar regarding this time the option that Optosys gives you in the environment to actually do that social distancing using the boutique, different catalog, and the Fitcam that might not everyone knows about. So today I'll be joined with my director, Caroline Posé. Caroline, how are you?
Very good. Hi, everyone.
And also I'll be joined with the Optikam Vice President of Sales, Bassam. Bassam, how are you?
Excellent yourself, Eric. How are you doing? And thank you very much for everyone to join us.
Yes, thank you, and very good. Thank you for asking. Also, so yes, today we'll have a very nice webinar for all of you. Of course, as all the previous webinar, this one will also be recorded and actually put on our YouTube channel later on for you to review. So if you might actually think that there is a lot of information going on, and there will be a lot of information, you can always review it in the comfort of your home anytime you want from our YouTube channel. And of course, you can share it with your colleagues. If you're looking for our channel on YouTube, just search with Optosys Solution and you should be able to find it very, very quickly. Yes, of course, the channel also allows you to see a lot more webinars, but that's another subject. So today, Caroline, I think our attendees will be able to ask questions during the webinar.
Yes, so don't hesitate to use your chat that is located on your right side of your screen on your menu to ask us any questions, and it will be our pleasure to reply.
Exactly. Thank you, Caroline. And of course, there'll be a question period at the end. So you'll be able to ask your question also at the end of the webinar if you have a general question on the subject that we'll tackle today. And regarding those subjects, we first need to do a little poll with you guys. We want to know more about who's actually attending to our webinar. So Caroline, can we start the first poll, please, for everyone to see and everyone to answer? So do you use a Fitcam in your clinics? We want to know if we're talking to people who already use the Fitcam and just want to enhance their usage, or maybe you never actually used it before. So I'll let you answer the question. Please answer. There's no personal answer. It's just going to be, we want to see the statistics at the end for everyone. So don't be shy and just click on the little white dot beside the yes or the no, depending on the situation. So go ahead.
So we
don't
have
be
our
shy.
result.
Yes, go ahead. So yes, we see that there's a lot of you that actually uses, there's a lot more than we thought that uses the Fitcam, but most of you, of course, never use it. And it's actually a good thing because we're going to see today the basics of the Fitcam and also the basics, everything that comes with it and how it works and also the details. Just so you know, in the handout section of your GoToWebinar control panel, you'll be able to download your Optosys, a Fitcam information, so you can actually take a look at how much it costs and which part of the discount category it falls into for OSI members. So you'll get a lot of information there. Thanks a lot, Caroline, for the poll. So let's take a look at the Fitcam. So why use a Fitcam with Optosys? So today, especially nowadays that we have social distancing and everything, I think that the Fitcam will actually allow you to actually still give out the same level of quality and precise measurements without the old-fashioned approach that we used before. So it will give you more tools to work with in a safe environment. And that's pretty much the name of the game at the moment, isn't it? What is a Fitcam? So I actually have the description for what Bassam told me is a complete dispensing solution that helps eye care professionals assist patients at all stages of the eyewear dispensing process. And this tool gets you a step closer to offering your patient a unique shopping experience. Because yes, they might actually not have used or been using a Fitcam with them before. So that's going to be pretty unique, or at least very new for them. So I also, by the way, will actually also brand your office as being more modern in the same way. So that's a side advantage. So we'll ask Bassem to actually walk us through the actual advantage and how the actual Fitcam is actually used in the clinic environment. So Bassem, would you be ready for me to switch the screen to yours?
Absolutely. You can switch to the screen, and I'll also activate the webcam temporarily so that we can I can share also the usage of the Optikam pad and the device. So let me just activate the live video as well.
Thank you. I'm really curious to see that apparatus.
Perfect. All right. So can you see my screen and my video, Eric? Can you just confirm
Yes,
that?
I can, and I think that everybody does too.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
excellent. So basically, as Eric said, the Fitcam is an iPad application that helps in all the different areas of the eyewear dispensing process. The goal is pretty simple. When customers walk into an optical, they go to the pre-test room and the exam lane, and they're exposed to very high-tech equipment in those areas of the office. Then they go to the dispensary and they're presented with digital lenses, preform lenses. But then the tools that we're using in those in the dispensary to present, to promote, to measure those measurements are the same archaic tools that we've been using for the past 20, 30 plus years. A pupillometer, a Sharpie, a dystometer that pokes people in the eyes. So it's basic tools that are very subjective, that have a lot of limitations, and that's where the Fitcam comes into play. It has 4 modules that are geared towards the various areas of the dispensing process, from choosing the proper eyewear, making sure that we can see how we look like in different frames that we're trying on, to plant the seed and for customers to see the benefits of premium lens options in a fun, interactive, and powerful way, and then capturing all of the measurements with one single frontal image. So the device that we use is called the Optikam posture device. That's a new patented device. We had an older version that had a patented pendulum, but the new device attaches on the eyewear, and that's very important because we need to know exactly where the eyewear are in space so that we can correct for rotation, for parallax, and to scale properly. So this device has electronics on the mid post that communicates the customer's pantoscopic tilt in real time from the device to the iPad. So from the iPad, we'll be able to see the customer's pantoscopic tilt. We can capture it from the iPad and we can validate from the iPad, which allows us to capture the eyewear measurements at a safe distance. Because in today's environment, one thing that's very challenging is making sure that we provide technology, innovation, and solutions to eye care professionals to make sure that their staff, that their associates, that their customers feel safe and comfortable and enjoy the shopping experience when they visit optical offices. So this device is composed of a few very simple elements. The first element are the hooks. So we simply open the hooks on each side, take the frame, make sure that it's fitted the way we would dispense it, and simply rest the top hooks on the top of the eyewear and then close the bottom hooks on each side. Straightforward. Then we look at it from above and we want this ledge to follow the curvature or the angle of the eyewear. So we don't want to angle it too much and we don't want it at a negative wrap. So we simply align it so that both are in alignment and following the same angle. The third step is the prism. The prism allows us to capture the vertex distance. And so we have various options with the prism. We can either preset it, because it's in the vast majority of cases, it's going to be within a very close vicinity. We can ask the customer, so we can put the eyewear on a table and ask the customer to hand over, grab those eyewear, and then wear the eyewear, make sure that it's fitted the way they would be dispensed. And we can ask them to align the prism until they can see double with that eye. Or we can simply completely disregard the prism by putting it in its parked position if we don't need to capture the rear vertex distance. So if we want to capture the vertex distance, we just move it on the temporal side of the pupil, so that as we look at it at the customer nose to nose, we want to see their pupil and the mirror of the pupil somewhere on the prism. So there's a wide range where the prism can be positioned and placed. So that's on the device front. I'll just stop my video because everything else is going to be on the screencast. So once the device is placed on the eyewear, usually you would launch the measurements module on your Fitcam, but for this webinar's purposes, I'll launch it in training mode. So when we launch the measurements module, we would have to select the frame type, the lens type. So if we want to measure a single vision, bifocal or trifocal or progressives, we would select our fitting height measurements. And this is very important. And it's also, I'll take that opportunity to outline that the Fitcam is a product that's designed and a tool that's designed for the optician. It's not meant to replace the optician. It's not designed to be an optician. So the optician should still, now more than ever, use their professional judgment in deciding how they want the measurements to be captured. So if you've been measuring at the bottom of the pupil forever, and you, based on your experience, you seem to have good results with the lenses that you provide in your offices, when you measure slightly below the corneal reflection, you are in control and you can adjust that slider, the fitting height slider, to account for your professional judgment. Then we can connect to the device. So we would select the device to connect to. And here we would see 3 posture types. So at this stage, we're only selecting the posture that we're going to be measuring the customer in. In the vast majority of cases, that posture will be the seated posture. So, and that's the posture that will be selected by default. So once we select the posture type, we have a blue capture posture button, and then we have a vertical blue bar and a red arrow that would be moving up and down on that bar as the customer would be raising or lowering their chin. So if you notice that basically the posture is oscillating a lot, you would observe the customer as you would do when you measure manually. You would put them into, or you can even guide them into what we call natural posture. And when you deem that the customer is in their natural posture, you can touch the capture posture button. When you touch the capture posture button, it locks in that posture with a blue arrow, but then the red arrow feed would still be giving you the live feedback from the device with the current posture of the customer. So in the vast majority of cases, it shouldn't be oscillating all over the place. It should stay within a certain tight range from that blue arrow. But if you see that it drastically has changed, then it gives you an opportunity to discuss with the customer and ensure if they're more comfortable in the posture that they're currently in, or if you can ask them to raise their chin and put them back into a 6-degree angle and see if they're more comfortable in that posture. So it allows you to double check the posture that you have captured. And if we reflect a bit, it really mimics how experienced opticians would capture the eyewear measurements. So they would observe the customer's posture, they would mark the lens to make sure that they've marked correctly, and then they would observe the customer to ensure that where they've marked coincides with the center of the pupil. And if they see that their marking is a bit too low or a bit too high, they would readjust their marking and keep observing the customer to ensure that where they've marked is really where they would be comfortable ordering those lenses in. So now I'm explaining at the same time, but in real life, you would simply launch the measurements module, select the frame type, select the lens type, observe the customer, capture their posture, and we're done. So it's a matter of seconds that the process should take. We hit the continue button, and here we have a live video feed where we would observe the customer's posture, and then above that blue rectangle, you have a guide, an indicator that shows you exactly how you need to align the iPad or how you would align the customer. So we never need to be at the same eye level as the customer's eyes, but it's important that you follow the instructions at the top of the screen. Because the posture of the customer has already been locked and captured, and we can see it at the bottom left-hand side, it says 5.6 degrees. Basically, we know that based on the device, And then we just need to follow the indicator to realign that customer's posture based on the panto that was locked. So we don't need to be at the same eye level as the customer, but we do need to follow the instructions at the top of the screen. If right now, as you hold the iPad in your hand, you would have a distance of about 3.25 feet away from the optician to the customer. If you want to operate at an even greater distance, you can put the iPad on a stand, and you don't have to have the stand go up and down necessarily, but you just need to rest it on a stand. And then you can use a Bluetooth mouse or a trackpad where you can operate the iPad remotely at a greater distance. So you can be 4.5 feet away from the iPad, and then the iPad has 1.5 feet distance from the iPad to the customer. So you would have an overall distance of 6 feet if you want to operate that way. Could be an overkill, but we do have that flexibility if need be. We also tested capturing images through some type of a barrier or a plexiglass. And if you rest the iPad as close as possible to that plexiglass, the light should go through without any issues, and you should be able to capture proper images. You just need to bring the iPad as close as possible to that plexiglass. So once the image is in alignment, we would ask the customer to look at the camera of the iPad, and then we would touch the Take Picture button. By touching the Take Picture button, it snaps an image, and it would draw a few markers on the image. We have a horizontal line, 2 vertical lines, and then cursors on the pupils and inside of the prism. So we simply need to align the markers. The software is designed to try to automatically detect the edges of the eyewear, but if need be, you can slide your finger on the outer edge of that directional circle to put all the markers in place. You'll notice that on the side of the prism, you have 2 white dots, 2 reflections. We need to use the nasal-most reflection on both markers. The temporal reflection is just caused by the prism, so we need to disregard it. And that's how the software is designed, to automatically try to detect the nasal-most reflection out of the 2 on the side of the prism. So with that one picture, we have all the measurements that are displayed on the top of the screen. We have our monocular PDs, total PD, height right and left, wrap, vertex, panto, near PD measurements based on a 40 centimeter reading distance, or you can change that slider to reflect a different reading distance if need be. If I can just underscore basically the differences between pupillary distances captured, the mono PD captured with the Fitcam versus what you might be getting using a pupillometer. On the Fitcam, or if I start with a pupillometer, the pupillometer has fixed nose pads that usually rest at the top of the customer's nose, and then it uses that midpoint to measure the mono PD right and left. The Fitcam will use the midpoint of the 2 vertical lines. So it uses the midpoint of a specific frame that the customer is trying on and adjust it on the customer's face. And from that midpoint, we would measure the monocular PD right and the monocular PD left. So it's important that if you capture the PD measurements on one frame, not to automatically transpose them to different frames, because the frames could be sitting differently for comfort purposes, or if the customer has a shifted nose or broken nose or whatnot, it might differentiate or differ or change the mono PD measurements from one frame to another. And that's important to highlight to the customer that those measurements are really unique to that frame, how it's been adjusted on the customer's face. And then it's not a matter of printing an inverted ruler and putting it on your forehead to shop online. There's a lot more science in capturing proper PD measurements because more variables need to be taken into account. So it allows you to bring the point across to the customer that what we do in offices has a lot more value than just the experience that they might be getting when they shop online. Then we have our fitting height measurements. So all the measurements will be displayed on the top of the screen. We can end the process there, but if we want, if we have a very tall customer or we have a non-adapt, we have the possibility at this stage to click on a standing posture. So with that one image, we can touch the standing posture hit the capture button, observe the customer in their standing posture, and then touch the capture button, which locks in that posture, and it shows us the fitting cross based on that posture that they're in, the standing posture. We can even ask the customer to sit down as if they're driving. So simulate as if they're driving. If they like to lean backwards or whatnot, we can ask them to simulate that posture, and then we can capture their driving posture. And then here we can show superimposed on the lens the various fitting crosses, and you'll notice that those fitting crosses are more temporal than the corneal reflections, because those fitting crosses take into account the customer looking at infinity. So it takes into account the far PD. It takes into account the fact that the iPad and the customer were not necessarily at the same eye level. So it compensates for that. And it shows you basically the fitting cross accordingly. So if you want to compare your manual markings to the measurements with the Fitcam, you would need to compare them with the fitting crosses or the white cross that's displayed on the screen. So when we've captured all of those measurements, we have the possibility of selecting a lens package, and here you would have your lenses, and you can select the various products, and you can show, for example, how if you optimize, for example, for the customer's driving posture. So if we measure way too low, how we would be impacting, eliminating, or minimizing at the very least the near vision zone of those progressive lenses. Inversely, if we optimize for our standing posture, we can show how it might impact our sitting posture and our driving posture, where we would be looking straight into that intermediate zone when we're looking in our comfortable, in our primary line of sight, and our comfortable posture in those posture types. So it allows us to demonstrate visually in a compelling way, based on the customer's data, why it might be beneficial for the customer to opt for multiple pairs of eyewear if they have drastically different postures in the various posture types, or to set expectations for the customer. Because if you see that you have drastically different postures, then you can engage a conversation with the customer if you'd like, where you can talk about setting expectations as to which zone, based on their lifestyle, based on their activities, which zone you would like to sacrifice a tiny bit, and which zone you'd like to give more leeway in. So it allows us to get that type of demonstration and that type of point brought across to the customer. So again, we can end the process at this stage. If we want additional measurements, we can tap on the top right-hand side, tap the Enable Frame Measurements, which draws an inverted L to complete the boxing of that lens. And then at the bottom right-hand side, we have the effective diameter slider, where we want the smallest yellow circle where all of the lens fits inside of. And that gives us our A, B, ED, and the DBL. So we have all the measurements, again, needed. We can touch the lens thickness button at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. And here we can choose a customer prescription that would be close to the customer's prescription. And we can show, based on this lens's A value, or the frame's A value, the customer's PD measurement and the material chosen. We can show visually in millimeters and in percentages how much thinner the lens will be if you opt for higher index lenses. So that's on the measurement front. I'll just go over the other modules that we have on the Fitcam, and then we'll go over the integration that's in place. So the other modules relate to demonstrating the benefits of the premium lens options that are available. So instead of drawing on a piece of paper how a $400, $500, $600 lens will perform, you can show visually, interactively, the benefits of those premium lens options. So here we can show, for example, for high index, you can show the refractive effect on the eyes if you have a plastic versus a high index lens. You can even show the thicknesses from the side if you have a plastic versus a high index lens. We can show aesthetically without anti-reflective treatment versus with anti-reflective treatment. And if we're driving, with AR versus without AR. So very quickly, interactively, you can demonstrate and set expectations as to why you're recommending a certain type of lens versus another more basic type of lens. We can show photochromic from daytime to nighttime, how it transitions into a dark lens or a clear lens. We can select polarization, and again, we can show with polarized lenses versus without polarized lenses. We can even compare polarized lenses versus regular sunglasses. So we can show visually, interactively, why it might be in their best interest to opt for those premium lens options that are available. Obviously, you're not going to show every lens demo to every customer, but you'll show them the demos that relate to their lifestyle, to their hobbies, to their activities, to their needs, and to their wishes. So you can show them the scenes that relate to their lifestyle, and then the benefits of the lens options that you're trying to recommend. We can even show different types of progressive lens options and show the different zones respectively. Then we have frame selection. Let me just launch here a saved session. So for frame selection, we can take up to 4 images of a customer trying different frames, and then we can make an informed decision because we can put our regular glasses on and see how we look like in the different eyewear. It also allows the customers, nowadays with the social distancing, they might not be shopping with their loved ones. So you can email them a friend, or you can email a friend or a spouse and in those images to get an instant second opinion. So while the customer's at your office, they'll be able to email and contact that person to get an instant second opinion and then make a decision while they're at your offices. And it also plants the seed for the customer to consider that second or third pair of eyewear. If we think about it, when we're shopping in front of a mirror or when we take pictures with our phones, we're always exposed to one frame at a time. In today's reality, I mean, I think a lot of, like, the industry in general is trying to bring the point across and trying to find tools to bring the point across that, as we do with a lot of things in life, such as shoes or other things, where we don't have one pair of shoes for all of our different lifestyles and needs and activities. Same thing with eyewear. There is a definite benefit to have more than one pair of eyewear, and this tool definitely helps bring that point across and allow customer to see the benefits from a technical perspective and from an aesthetic perspective as well. Then we have the augmented reality, which is also a powerful module because here you would be building the customer's lens. So you can choose the design that you'd like. You can choose if you want AR or not. You can choose tints to have tints or not. And then you can compare that to a basic lens at the bottom. So we can even select the draw option and draw the design of a personalized progressive and then compare that to a basic progressive. So you can use that to set expectations for the customer. So if the customer has an insurance and doesn't want any out of pocket, we can show them what the insurance might cover versus a slight out of pocket, how we might be benefiting from having all of these areas in the clear zone instead of being in the blur zone. So if a customer is not understanding why they would be investing more for certain lens options, we can use these interactive tools to present that you can provide them with the basic lens options, but that is what to be expected versus a slight out of pocket or a slight upgrade might give them a much clearer vision, a much more optimal vision. So again, on the right hand side, we have various scenes. We're not going to go over every scene with the customer, but we would go over the scenes that relate to their situation or their lifestyle. Here we can compare photochromic, and we can show, as we go from outdoors to indoors or vice versa, how it might take a bit of time before it transitions into a dark or a clear lens, depending on which side we're going. Then we can show daytime driving, nighttime driving, again, set expectations for the customer. We even have 3D eyewear where we can show the simulation, the refractive effect on the eyes. We can even select photochromic and then show, as we are looking outdoors and we turn to look indoors, how it might take a bit of time before it transitions into a clear lens. And as we go to look outdoors, how it takes a bit of time before transitioning into a dark lens. We can also show a top view of the lens and show that if we have a high minus prescription why it might not be a very good idea to opt for very large A-value frames. We can even do a double swipe up on either image, and it shows you how having a frame around the lens, if you have a high minus prescription, how it mitigates that thickness from the appearance of that lens. So it allows them to educate the customers very quickly, interactively, in a fun way, and show the benefits of the various lens options that are available. Now, if I go back on the measurement side, and then I can basically send the measurements from the Fitcam straight into Optosys. So here I can do a search of the database that's in Optosys. I can search by customer name, customer number, phone number, or email. So if I select customer number 46, I can search for that customer. I can select that customer, and it would show me if basically I have orders already. I can send the measurements into an existing order, or I can send that to a new order, or I can just save it locally and then send it to Optosys at a later date. I can select the order that I want to export the measurements to, hit send, and then basically the measurements would be like magic. Eric and his team have worked on. It would be sent straight into Optosys. So then in Optosys, you'll see the measurements populated on the screen. So that's on the Fitcam app. There's also a portal that's also very powerful that allows you to monitor the usage of the Fitcam in your offices. So if you see that you have a certain optician that's struggling or that's having difficulty or that has questions, you can involve us and we will see exactly where they might be struggling, and then we can point them into the training tools that are available to make sure that we put them at ease and they get at ease using the Fitcam in the offices. If you have I know that not a lot of people had the Fitcam already, but if you have the older generation of the Fitcam with the pendulum, you can contact us and we can look at your account and see if you're eligible for the upgrade path to get the new device. So if you have a relatively new iPad, there's definitely an upgrade path that we can that you can opt for that allows you to upgrade to the new generation of the device that attaches on the eyewear. So in a nutshell, Fitcam is a very powerful tool. It helps in all aspects of the dispensary. It allows us to show customers how they look like in different eyewear, show them the premium lens options that are available, capture all the eyewear measurements precisely at a safe distance, securely, and give an amazing customer experience using the Fitcam in your offices. And then all of those measurements will get transposed into Optosys. So you have a lot less interaction, a lot less double entry errors, a lot less time consumption, and a lot less paper trail if you don't have to write down the measurements and then transpose them into Optosys. So now I'll pass it back to Eric. I think he'll be sharing the Optosys side and showing on the Optosys side where the measurements, how the measurements would be populated.
Exactly. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, Bassam. It actually was very interesting. I'm kind of sold to it. If I really need it myself. So yes, that's actually was very complete in terms of explanation. Thank you very much. And like you said, that power of the tool that you're actually suggesting, the Fitcam, actually will actually be immense using the integration that we have in Optosys. So once a clinic actually purchase the Fitcam, we'll be able, just a phone call away as usual, to integrate your Fitcam with your whole database. So just like what Bassam did in front of you right now, you'll be able to search for your patient like you do in Optosys. You'll be able to choose which final RX, if you have a paperless environment, or actually just enter the RX first, and then you'll be able to import the information directly from a Fitcam into that prescription. So it's very powerful, and we repeat ourselves again, but actually limits the time that we'll have to actually re-enter all those very precise measurements, but also limit the number of errors that can occur. So let's take a look at how actually it was exported into the patient file. So actually, Bassam selected the, I think the RX for the 15th. So, oh, sorry, maybe the other one, from the last one, I think the 28th. Just a moment. Maybe it was the one from the 27th. Won't be long. Just a moment. Did you actually export Bassam from the Fitcam into Optosys? Did you save?
I must have. Let me just restart. So let me just go to measurements, start a new one.
Oh, no, there they are. Okay, sorry, it was just taking some time because I'm a remote location. So thank you very much. So here we have all the information we just saw appearing because I opened up the same one just 2 minutes ago. Sorry for that. And it wasn't there, but now it is. So of course, in your own environment, you'll be in the office, it will be faster. So here we have all the side height that was calculated by the Fitcam directly in the information that you normally have. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm French right now. Let me go back in English. It'll be better for everyone. So yeah, so I have the PDs, I'll have the site height, and the near PDs also very precisely, directly from the Fitcam itself, that will be coming directly in the RX, and also you'll have your special parameters. So all of those pentoscopic angle, your wrap angle, your vertex will all come from the actual Fitcam. So there's a lot of value there that will actually enable you to go very, very quickly entering those information. And of course, taking the measurements will be quicker also using the Fitcam. And as you might already understand, for the one of you using the B2B catalog for ophthalmic lenses, using our partners like Essilor, Hoya, and Nikon, you will be able to send your B2B order as usual, but also all those measurements will carry along. So once again, from the actual taking a measurement from the Fitcam directly to the lab when the job will be started by the machine, no one will interfere with having to retype or recalculate anything regarding those measurements. So a lot of value there. Also, of course, if you're forgetting to put a PD or there's something wrong with the measurements, sending the lab order, if those numbers are range, will actually give you a little warning. So you can always make sure that those measurements will be perfect at any given moment. So that's for the integration of the Fitcam into Optosys. And of course, whatever type of prescription you'll have under that patient that you're looking for, you'll be able to add those measurements on it. And we do recommend to actually use an existing RX to put that on it. So you'll have something to merge together away from the Fitcam. So now that we see how it integrates in Optosys and how it's super easy to do, it's just a matter of actually looking at the result in Optosys, we'll continue in our distancing communication or discussion at the moment, and we'll talk about the Optosys Boutique. So yes, I've been also able to reconnect with my Optosys program because I wanted to show you the big advantage of that Optosys Boutique. And yes, regarding the whole distancing thing, I think it's going to be a lot of value there for everyone to be able to see. So here, of course, when I'm selecting my frames like I showed you, I'll be able, just as usual, to put the frame information in my free text, or go ahead directly with the item number, or using the supplier brand and product like you might. Yes?
Yeah, Eric, what we see right now is your PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, good.
We cannot see your up.
I think you should be able to see it now. Okay, very good. Thank you,
Thank you, Eric.
Yep. So yes, like I was saying, when we actually select the frames, like we do normally, we'll be able to specify, well, which type of product we're looking for, as usual, in Optosys. But in this catalog, so as soon as we have that little cart, it shows that this is a catalog option. So I'm going to download all my Marchand because there's no point just downloading some of them. So you'll be able to have access to all the Marchand frame that we have available for you. And here, even if you have this one, the gold brown in stock at the moment, and that's what you're showing to the patient, and you put that apparatus from a Fitcam on, and the patient is really happy about it, you'll be able to actually maybe see at least that there's other either size or colors available. So in that case, there's other colors available, and I'll be even able to view the image of those other colors. So even my patient have a gold brown color or a gold nude, whatever. I'll be able to specify here that might be because of their air color or whatever. I would like to see the black one without having to go on the Marshall website and log in and search for it. Optosys will have it on the click of a button available for you. So then if the patient decides to go with the gold black, we'll just double click on it. Of course, there's no inventory because that frame we never received before. We don't have an inventory, but it's available since we have the whole catalog for us. So that's, I want to continue. And all the lens, bridge, tempo, AB, ED, DBL will actually be sent directly in your lab order. And of course, for so reporting purposes or anything like that, all their categories and so forth, gender and age will also come along. So the only thing that you'll still have to do is maybe put the price of that frame that we just selected, because once again, since we've never received it, you might not have priced it yet. And then we have a complete price for our job again. So a lot of value being able to do that. And I'm sure that you can appreciate also the value in the lab when we receive those frames that are due for the board. You don't have to actually re-enter the definition of the frame every time if the frame is in our catalog, once again. So once again, a lot of time saved there, so we can actually try to process as much as possible. One other great thing, so we saw that we have a picture for all, well, a link actually for all those frames that will show us a picture. We also actually created a boutique for that. So it's an online boutique that will allow you to have all the details of your frames online. So you can imagine what will be showing online. It's just like the big box store. You will have an actual inventory that you'll be able to show on your online catalog. So this is an example of online catalog that is actually synchronized with our database at the moment. And of course, there's a lot of clinics using it right now. You won't be the first one, so it's a very well-established solution. It will allow the patient to browse for the frame that we have on stock, because yes, it will be always synchronized with your Optosys inventory. So as long as those frames have a quantity attached, a positive quantity attached to them, and as long as they're part of our partner supplier catalog, you'll be able to show them on your inventory without you having to click anywhere to either add them on the website or remove them. It's going to be done automatically when we add it in our reception or we sell it or return it. So that's the whole magic around it. Also, you'll be able, just like any website where you have products, be able to filter your frame by brand, by type, by gender, by price level if you wanted to. So here it's an option that we give you. So if you want to actually not put a price on it, an actual number, because the goal is not to sell those frames online, it's really to have a window shopping experience, is to actually see the patient. So a patient might actually decide to go with a $1 price range or a $2 sign price range, and the definition of those price ranges can also be defined by you. You have your different fits, materials, shapes, etc. So there's a lot of very nice options for you to use it from here. So you don't have to create that, we'll create that for you. And of course, then we have selections that we can make. Now, once again, because we know that everyone works differently, we give you personalization levels. So one of that option or customization level is the ability to either make reservation or not. So you can actually leave the patient to actually select the frames, save it, send it to themselves by email, so they can actually bring their selection in the office when they come for their exam or for whatever purpose. But you can also take an appointment directly from here. So using the frame that we selected, we click on Reserve My Frames, and then the patient will be able to specify an actual time frame in your scheduler. They're also going to be able to actually enter their own information. So the whole point here is then when we come back to Optosys, a little bit like the online booking does, it will allow the patient to book themselves directly in the agenda. So here, you'll be able to see who's actually booked an appointment. You'll even be able to control how many of those frame try-on you want to book at once. So I decided personally that my try-on takes an hour and a half, and that's what we see at the moment. But I could actually decide that I can have up to 3 patient at once on the same time slot for those online frame trial. And yes, I guess that right away, if you want to control the flow of your patient in the office, you might decide that you only have one at a time, at a specific time, so nobody can actually take an appointment on the same time as somebody else in the same agenda. And you'll be able to see in the note of the appointment here which frame that they selected online beforehand. So the patient can actually take their appointment 4 days in advance or 2 days in advance. You can even allow them to book today if you wanted to. And the whole point here is, once again, to control the flow of the patient in the office, not having 50 people in your small office at once just to try the frames. So now that we have social distancing, we want to control a bit more the in and outs of our patient flow in the office. And I think that the online booking will allow you to do that. And also, maybe make the appointment length shorter in the office. So if your patients are trusted to actually take their appointment select their frames online beforehand, then the whole dispensing process will take less time, because they won't have to browse through the entire selection of frames. You'll know pretty much what type of frame they want, and you'll be able to go ahead with maybe your own proposition for your frame, or you'll be able to go ahead with their own choices that are put online. And since it's already synchronized with your inventory, you'll make sure that it's a frame that it's on your inventory at the moment that you still have it. Caroline, do we have any questions yet on the frame catalog or on the e-boutique?
No, everyone, it's pretty much really quiet this afternoon. But just as a reminder, don't forget to download on the right side of your screen the handout that we have prepared for you. So it's a information sheet for Optosys Boutique, and also information sheet for Fitcam.
Yes, so that's a very good point.
No more question, yeah. And Eric, for sure, I would like you to maybe show where to subscribe if they want to have.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Yeah. So now that we have the handout, that we have pretty much the information, and I'm sure that you're all blown away by the nice features that we added up, you'll be able to go in your own Optosys program and actually reserve that feature with one of our Optosys experts. So going here, first of all, I think I went too fast, Caroline. Let me just go back in here. So in your navigation or web panel, I should say, on the left side, you have a What's New option. And in the What's New, you'll be able to see a lot of new stuff that we actually added in Optosys. So of course, updates are new stuff that we always make available to you. So you know that you have updates are available for you to download if you don't have the latest one. We also have promotions, new modules, and so forth. So we have the online and booking recall promo, and we have the Optosys Boutique and catalog, frame catalog promotion. So you can take a look at that promotion and of course sign up on it. So just entering your name, OSI number, email address, and a short message of what you're looking for will allow us to actually gather those requests and call you as soon as we can to start the project together. There's a bit of a homework to be done beforehand, because we have to match your current inventory, which is not using the catalogs, and just match it with the catalog products. But if you entered your frame information pretty much the same way that the supplier did, so in terms of the name of the product, the code for the color, and the correct size, those matches can even be done automatically. But if we can't match it, we sometimes have to do the match manually. And then, yeah, we'll be able to actually go ahead and offer you the catalog if you want to start with the catalog, or right away go with the e-boutique that will actually show your frames online from there.
So Eric, we just have a question. Maybe you can repeat. So the question is, the frames that will be online for viewing will be linked to our inventory in our office, and how that's work?
Exactly. So it's linked to your actual Optosys inventory. And by looking at the names in the attendance, I know that some of you actually work in a multi-office environment where we have multiple locations on the same server. So it creates one store per location, because as you know, the inventory is attached to a specific location, a specific company in Optosys. So it's one store per physical location for you. However, just a little also insight for everyone. If you wanted, you could specify a specific brands. So if you just want to have your high-end brands to show online, or your more popular brands maybe online, you can actually control that and hide other brands that you might not want to hide. You can control which frame of your inventory you want to show or not. And you can also show frames that you don't even have in your inventory, since we have the whole catalog. So if you wanted to show the whole Marchand Chloe catalog, even if you just have a quarter of them on your inventory, but in your mind you know that you'll be able to order them anyway, you can actually go ahead. So you can really control and personalize the view that the patient have to see on your website. Is there any other very good question like this one, Caroline?
No quiet people today.
Very good.
But anyway, yeah. Anyway, if they have a question that they think after, or after if they review this presentation through our YouTube channel, you know that we are there to answer questions, or you know how to reach Optosys support. So don't hesitate to ask us questions.
Exactly, very good. And of course, our support team is always there to you either on the phone or by email at support@optosys.ca. So that pretty much ends my presentation. I just wanted to show you all the list of suppliers that we have in our catalog. So from Aspect to Securo, from Marchand to Luxottica, and upcoming Philo and Langto will come up with their own catalog also. So we have a lot of very big names that are actually linked to Optosys. So you can actually download all those catalogs at the moment if you have that feature in Optosys. So once again, and as we're going to grow, that's actually the request will be meant from our users, that partner supplier will grow with time, adding all the ones from mostly all the most popular ones in our OSI group.
Okay, Eric, I have a question. So
Please.
how do you get the handout of the screen? So on the GoToWebinar screen, if you are on a screen and not on a phone, because on a phone I don't know if it works, but there is a section that's called handout, and there is 2 documents there. If you cannot grab them, just tell me on the chat and I will send it to you by email. So there is no problem there.
Yeah, so it's in the, you're right, Caroline, it's in the control panel of the GoToWebinar, where you have all your section where you can ask questions and so forth. And I think it's called Handout, and you have 2 documents there. And then you can download the one for the Boutique and Catalog PDF, and the one for the Fitcam, if you want to know more about the Fitcam that is compatible with Optosys to take your measurements from patient glasses. Very good. Any other questions or raised hand at the moment, Caroline?
No, I think we've done the tour.
Okay. Very good. So thank you very much, everyone, for your attendance. If there's no much question, we'll just end the webinar right now. So thanks a lot, Bassam, for your participation today. Thank you, everyone, for being there. I hope that you learned something today. Of course, thank you, Caroline, for helping me out. And once again, sorry for the little hiccup there for my internet access. And hopefully, I'll see all of you very shortly in our next webinars.
Thank you, Eric.
So,
thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Go, go, go. Go, Bassam, if you want to say something just before we're going to close.
I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric and Caroline, for organizing this great webinar. I think everyone enjoyed it. So if you have any questions, feel free to visit optikam.com, talk to your OSI rep, and let us know how we can help you keep practicing safely, securely in the dispensaries.
Thank you, Bassam. So have a good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to be with us. And just watch for the next webinar that we're going to provide for you. Thanks.